Hello, myself, Sunil Ramakrishnan. Here, basically, we are discussing on the topic that is city creation. Basically, we are discussing on the topic that is India account. Basically, we are discussing on the topic that is SBI account, Amazon account, and after 2 days, basically, the earthquake is going to happen. In that, basically, we are discussing the lava account. In lava account, basically, we discussed that basically 1 lakh software company basically is there. Basically, currently exists in Mumbai city. They basically created 10 crore project. In that 10 crore project, basically, they are going to generate 100 crore child. That data basically they are going to generate with the help of the software energy. After software energy, basically it's going to convert to the chemical data, and chemical data basically is going to convert to the lava data, and lava data basically is going to convert to the power data. After power data, basically certain day after certain time, basically the power data basically is going to be used by the set of power company, energy company, and nuclear power company with the help of the satellite groups, and the satellite groups are basically going to allocate the satellite groups and the nuclear power company, and the power company and the energy company is going to allocate to the allocate going to allocate this child data basically that is 100 crore to the human people basically that are the basically when basically this allocates that basically we have already discussed. That is basically in that basically I had taken one example of the 1 crore project basically that is the Microsoft Bill Gates basically is doing basically, and he basically has done with the help of the many software companies. In that basically I had taken the one of the example of the car company which basically is giving the one of the which is generating one of the condition of the 1 lakh condition basically. In that basically 1 lakh condition basically is dumped into the many humans basically and into the many ladies basically body also. According to that, the child is going to get generated. Till that, basically, we have discussed. So here the condition basically, the ongoing is here basically we are discussing one user case. In that basically we discuss that basically Mumbai city basically ended Sunilar Nair generation. Here basically why I am discussing this everything basically. I basically don't have, if I will not discuss basically anything is going to affect basically here. Nothing is going to affect. But lots of things basically are very dangerous. That is supposed to be discussed. So here the thing is Sunil Nair basically generation ended, as in by Mumbai city. With the help of first basically they given HIV/AIDS, then basically they given the Nasbandi. Given the Nasbandi means forcefully basically they have done the Nasbandi with laser equipments. In this basically nobody can able to track that only. So in night basically Nasbandi done, and then basically second day also basically he basically never got that basically Nasbandi has done. That is basically just example I'm giving you. In really, basically, my husband has not done, and I don't have any AIDS disease also. So here we are discussing that basically this user story basically was generated by one of the rich person, and that rich person basically is connected with around 10 crore people basically. So he is giving money to 10 crore people. Like this, basically assume that basically there are 10 crore rich people who are actually giving money to the entire world, because this way only the world is running, because without money basically the world is going to run. So 10 crore rich people basically are there, and from that 10 crore basically the one rich person basically who was connected with Sunilar Nair basically he ended Sunilar Nair generation. One rich person group, basically. So he told that basically we basically can't give money to Sunilar Nair, so we are basically ending his generation only basically, and basically finishing him also basically. So that basically in future basically he might create problem, then basically if we will end him basically, then basically he is going to create problem, no basically. So they basically ended Sunila Nair with the help of HIV/AIDS disease, and then basically through Nasbandi basically. So like this basically Supreme Court, High Courts, Indian Police Department, and Indian Police Department groups, then the other department groups who are basically connected with the Indian currency, they all basically supported that group basically. Like this basically they ended Sunil Nair generation. And they basically told that basically now basically Sunil Nair basically feel on the money. That also basically will create problem to us. That is the that group basically. So they told that basically we will have some murder case on that particular person. So in this basically, Bollywood group also basically jumped into this because each and every scene creation basically is of Bollywood group responsibility. So they also one of the person basically jumped into this. Do you know how basically he jumped? He basically done one marriage and then basically through marriage basically he converted that divorce case into murder case. But real motive was what? The career was supposed to end of Sunil Nair because they know that basically Sunil Nair will reach to good position basically. So they basically done murder case against Sunil Nair. That Sunil Nair basically has done the murder. So like this, his friend, everybody basically supported that group. In this Indian government, police department, army group, EME army group, then the Vadodara army group, and then the Delhi army group, all basically army groups supported that group basically. Now what are the things basically going to happen? The money basically was given by that rich person. Like this basically there are 10 crore rich person basically. So is that basically one rich person is only going to affect or basically entire 10 crore rich person basically going to affect? Why? Because all rich person are one. That everybody knows. When basically I went to Mumbai, that time only I got the information that all rich person basically have become one. Who has created that scene basically? That is Bollywood group. Because each and every display purpose is basically of Bollywood group. So in this Nasbandi was basically done by with the help of Bollywood group. Basically this was done in Mumbai city. So here basically what we are discussing. Here we are discussing the user stories. And in user stories, basically the visualization, basically whatever things basically, for example, my Nasbandi has done. So people will know that basically, "Ah, bhai, iski Nasbandi ho gayi, iski Nasbandi ho gayi." If he will, anybody will do the marriage to that particular person, he is not going to have the next generation. So that is a scene created in front of the world basically. That देखो इसकी नसबंदी होगी and he basically is a murderer also. That also scene basically they have created. That also scene basically they have created. Now after this all scene basically, and then the marketing group also basically, do you know basically nowadays it's a digital world. So the marketing basically just happened within a second basically. अरे भाई ये with the photo basically, with the profile basically, how basically we send the marriage profile like this basically one profile basically was created of Sunilar Nair and they basically sent that he said done basically murder, he basically have Nasbandi, he basically generation is undead, he basically AIDS disease are also there, like this basically they send the data. That basically what happened here, the digital world basically connected to one matrix because each and every mobile, that is Android mobile, connected with this message and they basically read it in that brain basically what basically it was dumped. Sunilar Nair basically has got AIDS and Nasbandi, so they created a what, they created lesson. So the lesson energy basically generated in each and every bodies, in their blood cells also, that there is one person basically called Sudila Nair. His Nasbandi has done and his AIDS also done by one of the software company, software company's demand. So software company's demand basically was fulfilled by Indian group basically. That is the human resource, the Indian army, Indian cricket team, Indian Bollywood groups. Like this basically all basically become one. And they basically done the advertising. That Sunil R. Nair basically Nasbandi has done in Mumbai city. So this is one user story, right? Basically. How basically this user story connected to Sunil Nair and to rich person? Because that rich person basically was giving money to Sunil Nair. That rich person basically was giving money to Sunil Nair and he basically stopped giving money because he is telling that basically we can't afford Sunil Nair expense. Sunil Nair basically expense he can't afford basically. So he told that we can't afford Sunil Nair expense. So that basically like this basically this has done. this scene created, this energy created, this energy basically generated in as a one user story, as a chemical format, and it dumped into the lava data. Dumped into the lava data. Then basically, like this, basically assume that basically 1 crore user story basically got generated, like Sunil or Nair. They also basically dumped into the lava data. So here basically there is no bank. Lava bank is not there. So due to lava bank is not there, each and everything basically is going to dump into the lava data. Then basically what happened? Lava generated. Then basically the 100 crore child process basically started with the help of power supply. When Sunila Nair basically turn was supposed to come, that turn basically was ended. And in that, when basically Sunila Nair turn basically came, that time basically the user story generated. The user story was he got AIDS, he basically Nasbandi was done, he basically connected to murder case, and this everything basically was done by software company group. In that basically Indian software company group basically played most IMP role, that is important role. And all basically has become one basically. Why basically they have become one? That basically is the story basically. Why they have become one basically? That is also question here basically. Why they have become one basically? It's very strange basically. That one person basically is not supposed to get job. So for that basically all Indian software company groups become one. Why they have become one basically? That was actually question basically. So here basically we discussed my story. Like this basically there are many stories created in this world that dumped into the lava. So when Sunilar Nair basically turn came, Sunilar Nair energy basically that was this story basically got activated in the environment. In this environment, actually, what thing basically happened? Again, basically Sunilar Nair story got generated in the same environment. Basically. So this is called what basically? This is called actually one universe chaining system basically. You will not able to believe that this is the universe chain system basically. What is that chain system? We are going to discuss in detail basically. Because the Sunilan Nair generation which was ended basically, that same story basically connected to after certain time basically. And again basically Sunilan Nair story basically generated in that environment. In that basically some other rich person basically was done. Some other rich person basically was there. So he actually created that user story. So this is actually what? That is actually very question, very dangerous question basically. What is actually that? This is what actually 102 time basically world ended. In the 102 time basically world when basically world was ended. That time basically after the all basically ideas basically connected into current Earth planet education system. In that education system, there is one software company education system. In the software company education system, Sunil R. Nair basically converted into HIV/AIDS, Nasbandi. His murder case basically was done by the software companies. This basically user story generated. Then basically the then basically the birth creation basically when the process basically was going to happen. That time basically which was the lava dump. That time Sunil Nair story again generated. So what is this actually? So one person told that basically. Sunil Nair basically connected to this story. Like this in this world basically there are assumed that basically 1 crore stories is ongoing. So that 1 crore story chain basically is connected to different land area, right? Different land area basically from power different land area the power supply is coming and the from power supply basically the data basically is circulated and then the automatic the story gets generated like this basically 1 crore chain basically has generated. and this chain connected to 102 time world ended. So one person told that what is actually this? ये मतलब क्या है मतलब ये? From world start basically start day basically assume that basically world started around 7 crore year before basically or basically 70 crore year before basically assume that basically 70 crore year before basically the world was started. From that time till now basically there are 1 crore user story basically connected, 1 crore types of user coding story basically connected from that world started date to this date. So what is that basically? What is that basically? Because user story basically from world of starting of the world started na basically from that time to till now basically 102 time world ended na, that user stories basically are getting changed like this basically 1 crore user story basically got connected to earth planet just now basically. So what is this basically? What is this? This is actually the very dangerous thing basically. What is actually this? 102 time world ended, then 102 time basically there are around 1 crore user story basically connected. Sorry, 102 time world ended and 100 crore sorry 1 crore user story basically got connected chain basically that also. So 102 time world ended from world start date till basically 102 time world ended chain basically got connected. So what is this? One person basically asked the question, and this is actually very dangerous question I'm telling you. Because in this world basically whatever disease basically are getting generated now, that is connected with this only basically. Whatever disease basically I'm telling you basically. In this world, if you will connect to corona disease, malaria disease, pneumonia, chikungunya, each and everything basically are connected with the user story chain basically. So one person told that, do we have this chain basically, data chain from world started to world till now basically. This basically world has not ended. So till now basically well world basically is ongoing. They assume that basically 98, 97 time basically world ended, and this is 98th time world is ongoing. So till now basically whatever user story has generated that data basically we have. Universe group is telling that basically we have basically that is basically in the form of sea water basically. If you dig the sea water basically you will find that basically that area basically is containing that time user generation and that time basically that area basically that user generation and that time basically that user generation and that user means that world generation end. That generation ended of that particular time or planet day. So that was very dangerous thing basically. So one person told actually what is this actually? Because whatever stories basically are getting connected, that is connecting to from world start day till now basically. So how basically the world started, who started the stories, each and everything basically are connected to. So one person told that who actually started the world with. That was also very dangerous. This only answer basically who can give. This answer basically who can give. The who created the world basically. Because when world basically was there, that time basically, even basically the God also basically was not there. Of the earth planet God basically was not there. So who basically can give the answer of this? Other than satellite group basically. Because they have the data of earth planet. They only can give the answer. No, basically. Nobody else basically can give the answer. Because you have never seen the world basically. When basically if you have not seen anything basically, your basically body was not existing, then basically how we can see that basically? You can see that basically. Your souls basically can see everything basically. Is there anything basically something that basically the your souls basically is telling, seeing this everything. Basically, that is not possible. Yeah. But in practical world, basically, that is not possible because in your body, basically, whatever basically the current thing basically has done, that only basically can you can observe, you can identify that. Other than thing, basically, you can't display it. Other than thing, basically, it's not possible to display. So you can just imagine basically how the world is created. Lots of people says that if you are doing any investment, basically, you have to think thousand time basically, not thousand time basically. I am telling you 1 lakh time before doing the investment basically, because you are doing the investment in land basically. That's why lots of people says that rich people basically time are very costly. Why basically they say that? There might be some reason basically. There might be some reason basically because that entire basically you can say Microsoft is dumped into that lava land basically, and that is the future. So lots of people say that ये तो these people are rich people basically, their life basically are rich, but see basically how the life basically of rich people. I had taken one example: 10 crore rich people in this world. They connected with the whole world. They are connected with the whole world, and they are basically giving the money. So here basically I have taken one example of one person who is basically having four child. In that two basically is the boy and two is the girl basically. One boy basically, one boy basically his energy basically was coming from that 18 cities. 18 cities basically was giving some energy to him. He basically connected to some disease. In that disease basically he told that basically some disease has converted from that area. So doctor basically tried to repair that disease. It was not able to. He basically cleared that area because why? Because he was a rich person basically. He cleared that area. 1 lakh crore basically invested, and then basically his son basically got some new data, and basically that disease was over. So doctor basically told that basically this all are the stuff basically you have to create. He created, and then basically his son basically got free from the disease. So lots of people says that investment basically this is also one of the investment, but this was connected to the personal investment. Like these four basically are there, two son and two daughter. So they also going to invest. So like this, he invested around 100 city. Like this, basically, rest of rich people also invested to rest of city. Like this, basically, the world created. In this basically world, what happened? The doctor told that basically we have to clear that area. In that clearing area, basically they cleared basically Sunilar Nair data. That was Sunilar Nair next generation. Basically, they cleared in that clearance, basically. And that clearance basically converted into lava also. And that lava basically connected to the 100 crore world, 100 crore child basically which is going to generate. And when basically the child is going to generate, that time Sunilar Nair basically turn came, and that basically connected to the Sunilar Nair energy. And in energy basically again basically Sunilar Nair story basically connected. And again basically one boy basically done marriage, and then basically he got AIDS, and then basically he got Nasbandi, and there also basically his murder case was basically filed. Like this again basically change. So for this basically one of the person told that to solve this problem basically the world basically when the world was started, and first lava data basically which was dumped inside the land, and basically you have to go up to that level basically, to solve that problem. So one of the person told that from the satellite person told that we are accepting that challenge basically, and we are going to find that. land area where the first lava data basically was dumped, because this problem is connecting up to that level. So one of the person told that where might be that land here basically, because Earth planet basically can't have that data. Why? Because Earth planet basically people basically might not be existing that time basically. So this data who might be having? That is the satellite group. They only have the data. They only have the data. So they only basically can find this problem basically of Sunil Nair, and from which story basically that is connecting, so that basically he can dig and basically he can solve basically the AIDS problem and Nasbandi problem. That was basically the generation end, and then basically the murder he has done. But he has basically not done. In real, basically this is not my story. I'm just taking as an user story. In really, basically I don't have AIDS, and I don't have Nasbandi also. Here basically one concept need to clear basically. So one of the person told that software industry basically you are telling that basically one of the satellite group basically told that basically you are telling that your software industry is very dangerous, this that basically you people have this data basically. Then there was no answer basically for Sunil Nair, because this type of thing basically we never heard of in our entire life, that this type of thing is also possible basically. So the group basically who say that basically we are into the disease clearance certificate giving basically. So they basically this only basically who can do basically. This 10 crore rich people only can do na basically. We can just give an idea basically. I am basically poor person basically. If I would be having the money basically, then I might have implemented this basically, this project. But I don't have money. I am basically poor person basically. But one of the person told that your idea basically connected to very dangerous level basically. So their universe group basically never ignores any of the thing. So one of the universe person basically captured this video, watched this video, and then basically started really basically started tracking that what is that first lava which was dumped by satellite group only basically. Because previously satellite group was doing this everything basically, which currently this Mumbai city is doing basically. So they basically told that basically we need to track basically where is that first lava dumped data. Because on the base of only that only the next generation started, and here basically Sunila Nair generation ended. So one of the person told that where is that basically land area from where the first generation started of the world. So one of the satellite person told that this is also basically second challenging task basically Sunil Nair you have given. First basically was that water basically, and second basically is this. So we accept this second number challenge also, because Earth planet basically they don't have data basically. How they basically never heard about this thing basically. Then basically who is going to solve this problem basically? They have never heard that basically this type of thing also basically is possible. They have never heard it. So how they are, because they don't have the lava bank only basically. If the lava bank might be there, then basically little bit problem basically can be solved. But that also basically we don't have. This was actually supposed to think by one of the Indian business, sorry, one of the software company businessman basically. But I thought that basically. But this was supposed to think to businessman basically. This was supposed to think by software company businessman. But that also basically just now basically we thought. So that also basically is correct. So today also basically we can copyright that project and start that project. But that is very dangerous project. But this project basically you have to do it. There is no option. There is no option. So one of the satellite person told that basically, Sunil, basically we are trying to find out basically which story basically is you connected. So for that basically we have to go to the first lava dumped group that is from the satellite who actually dumped the first lava data basically inside the land. We are basically picking that group basically, and they group that group only basically can tell which was that all total user stories which was connected inside the lava data. And after that, basically everything is happening automatically. After that, basically everything is basically happening automatically, and that connects to the power supply chain also. So that time, basically, when the power supply chain was dumped in that power supply chain is going till now. Basically, mark my words. Basically, till now, basically that power supply chain is ongoing. First lava data dumped till now. Basically, that power supply chain is ongoing. So for that, basically, satellite group told that basically you are telling correct, Sunil. We are accepting your challenge. We are accepting your challenge. So you can just imagine basically how the things basically are connected. So satellite group accepted their challenge, and second requirement basically given by Sunila Nair to satellite group. First challenge that water. Second is this lava data. Because in this world basically nobody can solve this problem. So in future basically any satellite group or anybody basically will watch this video, they will immediately start with this challenging project because this is actually challenging because this will connect to the first power supply data of the human basically which was connected, and till now basically that power supply chain is ongoing. You will not believe that way. You will not able to believe that. I'm telling you, and this is very dangerous topic basically in this video which I had discussed. In this basically when basically world was started, that time basically God also was not there. God also basically was not there. God basically came after certain year time basically. But that time basically the satellite group basically has dumped the first lava data. Rest of thing basically is happening automatically. But some groups are basically there who are doing everything. But क्योंकि reason nothing happens automatically. Everything is basically connected. So set of automation if they might have done the satellite group, then basically it might possible that somebody might have done that basically. But somebody group is there basically who is doing this everything. So you can just imagine basically how the things basically are connected. So this is the second project basically given by Sunil Nair to university. In future, basically, if anybody gets the time, or basically if any by chance basically somebody sees Sunil Nair videos, because internet basically are accessed in satellite also. If anybody see this video, then basically they will take these two project basically. That is one that water wala thing, and second is this lava data. And this is connecting how basically 10 crore rich people connected with the whole world. 10 crore rich people, they are connected with the whole world. In that basically Sunil R. Nair generation ended. And after a certain time Sunil R. Nair will end because he basically got Nasbandi and AIDS also. So this is user story basically. In really, basically, I don't have AIDS and I don't have Nasbandi also. Just basically taking the user story basically, so that basically we can clear actually what we are discussing basically. In this basically, I can't give any others example basically. That's why basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level things basically has connected with it. See basically. See basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level things basically are. So in this basically one of the person told that from that first lava dumped data mein, you will able to track that basically from which idea basically the from which user story the computer basically idea connected. Mark my words, it will going to connect to very dangerous depth level basically. This project basically anybody will take this initiative basically. He should basically must basically he have to do the copyright basically. He have to just now basically copyright it, and basically he has to go to the high court, supreme court, wherever basically you want to go. He just copyright this basically. That is the first thing basically you have to do. But for that basically you have to prepare the project management plan. You have to require the you basically require the requirements. Then basically proof basically is required, because courts basically without proof basically they don't approve anything basically. So what proof basically you are going to give? That lava data basically you can give if the court basically understand, then basically, because they also basically have certain level of data only na, basically they are not god basically. Supreme Court, High Court basically are not god. They basically have data, then only basically they can approve. If they don't have data basically, then how they can approve? How they can approve? That is also one thing basically. But copyright basically is must. For that basically, what is the actually project management plan basically that you have to design? What is the scope of this project? What will be the boundary? What would be the communication channel basically? How this management is going to happen? Who is going to develop this? How many resources would be there? Resource level plan. Each and every plan basically you have to define basically. Communication plan basically. How you are going to communicate the project basically. And which kind of resource basically can understand this. Because this only basically scientist group, NASA group only basically can understand this. Na, basically. For that basically you should have a resource also. So it's a challenging task basically. But you have to copyright this basically. That is basically my word basically. If you will not copyright, then basically other will copyright it, and basically he will become the richest software person. Basically. He will become the richest software person. Basically. But this is basically very challenging. You will connect to that user story from which basically the computer basically idea generated. So we exactly know the closest basically closest what was it? Closest idea source basically from where the sorry idea source and the energy and the blood cells basically, which was that blood cells data basically, which was that basically men basically was woman was basically that, or other party was there, who actually was that basically. You can exactly able to track the minor level basically. So one of the percentage why basically is everything is required. That is also question. From this you can able to track the visualization of the your ideas. You can create the ideas through the proper changes. That is one thing. And if you have done this basically, then according to the ideas basically, the human needs basically is creating automatically only. That everybody knows. For example, MBA is generating potato. That basically we have already discussed. So you can just understand basically how the things basically are connected. So you can just imagine basically. This is actually challenging project. The second number challenging project, the universe group basically got. So you can just imagine it. It's not easy to create project. It's not easy to create project, that is thing basically, but it's not easy to do the investment also basically. It's very tough basically. The rich people basically say that basically, "Oh, भाई हमारे पास तो बहुत पैसा है." But see the depthness basically you see na basically. You are actually creating the lava data basically. You are creating 100 crore basically child. In that basically one of the user story connected of Sunil Nair also. His generation ended. In really basically I have not ended, but I am just adding basically. I can't add basically others story basically. I can't take the example of anybody else basically. That's why basically I have taken my example. In really basically I don't have AIDS and my generation basically has not ended. Lots of people say that we will do inquiry in Mumbai basically. Whether basically Sunil Nair generation basically has ended or basically he basically got AIDS or basically that we are going to do inquiry in Mumbai basically with the Malayali Samaj, because we are Malayali, so we will doing the we are going to do the inquiry in Malayali's Mumbai Samaj. So in next video basically we are going to see little bit more about this topic.